I'm 24 female and I have an older sister, 28 female. We're not very close with one another. The biggest reason why we are not so close is because of how everyone has treated us differently, as she is the older daughter somewhere. She got the better end of the stick, and she was always treated a lot better than I was. Growing up, something always felt off to me. At first, I thought it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. But as I got older, all these moments started adding up, painting a clear picture. It was undeniable. She was the golden child, the one everyone favored. No matter what she did, even if it was utterly crazy, she always got the benefit of the doubt. It was like she had this invisible shield around her, protecting her from any blame or consequences. And it wasn't just a one-time thing, it happened repeatedly, creating this unfair pattern. She could make mistakes, big or small, and it was always overlooked or excused. It was frustrating and baffling to witness how differently she was treated compared to the rest of us. While I was not, it was not a good feeling. I tried to overcome it, but the only way I could do it was by moving away from the house. I would say I succeeded in doing that because since I moved out, I've been able to take care of my mental health a lot better. But I would be lying if I said that things were fine since I moved out when I was 18. My sister did everything to ruin my image in the eyes of my parents. She told my parents that I was doing drugs and drinking alcohol when I was not, and my parents believed her over me. They did not think about believing me for a second. I was okay with sitting for a drug test just to prove my innocence, but they could not be bothered. The big takeaway from all of this is that my bond with my parents took a hit because of my sister. When I finally moved out and the dust settled, I made a conscious decision to cut ties with my parents for a good 2 years. I just didn't want them in my life at all, and honestly, it felt pretty great being free from all that drama. I could focus on my career, my life, my boyfriend, and everything else. I was leading a happy life without the thought of them affecting me in the slightest. But when things took a turn for the worse, when COVID hit, I was not talking with them during the first months of lockdown. But then I got news that my dad was hospitalized. I felt like it is the duty of a daughter to show up for him. I do not believe in treating someone the way they treat me. I treat people the way I want to treat them. And despite everything, I wanted to be there for him. Owing to his hospital stay, I started talking to my parents. Things have been fine since then. We began patching things up. My sister wasn't thrilled, but I made it clear that I was determined to stick to my decisions. Moreover, when my parents approached me about their financial struggles, I stepped in to assist as much as possible. I realize it might sound strange, but in my mind, I felt that by being there in places where my sister wasn't, I could somehow balance the scales and be seen as an equal. This was because I knew my sister was waiting just around the corner to sabotage the whole relationship that I had with them. Helping them out financially actually worked in my favor, the way I had intended. Because whenever my sister tried to do some messed up stuff, my parents were open about how she did not show up when they needed her, so there's no need for her to talk bad about me. I would be lying if I said that I did not know that they did not want to piss me off because they were scared I would stop helping them. It was true. I knew I was going to stop helping them if they did anything wrong, and based on their financial condition, they needed whatever help they could get. I could be considered a bad person. But then again, I wanted to not be treated like garbage anymore, so I was willing to do whatever was required. While all of this was happening, my boyfriend and I were going steady. After our fourth anniversary, he proposed to me. I accepted, and it felt like finally my life was looking up. I had a decent symbiotic relationship with my parents. My job was going well. And on top of that, my boyfriend and I were engaged to be married. Everything was planned out beautifully, and I was very excited. The only person who was not excited was my sister. She could not imagine why I thought I should get married so young when she's not even married. I'll level with you. My sister's track record with relationships has been shaky at best. Nothing ever lasted beyond a year, so it's no surprise she isn't married. Her whole argument that I shouldn't get married because she isn't sounded like a load of nonsense, to put it frankly. I chose to respectfully brush off her opinion. The wedding was planned for a weekend to ensure everyone could be there, and I sent out the invitations. I sent invitations to my sister and my parents because, despite everything, I really wanted my family to be there. The wedding was a week ago, last Saturday, and guess what happened? My parents did not show up. You could be thinking that something had happened or something, maybe something major. No, they did not show up because my sister decided to host a lunch at her place on the same date, and my parents decided it's much more important to meet their older daughter for her lunch than be there for their youngest daughter for her wedding. Their behavior hit me hard. It was beyond unsettling. It felt like a twisted joke because they didn't bother to inform me they weren't coming. I kept waiting for 30 agonizing minutes, holding on to hope until my mom revealed my sister's social media post to me. And that was when I found out that they were not coming. They looked so happy sitting next to her as if she was the only daughter that they had. I decided at that moment I do not plan on helping them anymore. I decided that I am 7 years too late to cut them off, but now is as good a time as any. So that is what I did. After my wedding was done, I sent them a message clearly stating that I will never consider them as my parents again because they have repeatedly chosen my sister over me, even when I have pulled through wherever she liked. And as they refuse to respect me, I will not respect them either. Since then, I've stopped calling them mom and dad, and they're not happy. They have sent me several messages trying to excuse their behavior. But I am adamant. I do not plan on being nice to them in the slightest. But somewhere I feel like a huge a-hole for treating them that way. So I guess that's why I'm here. I too. Or am I overthinking? Update 1. Hey everyone. I really appreciate you guys being there for me. Sorry it took me a while to update you guys. Upon returning from my honeymoon, I wanted to share my thoughts with you all. I don't believe I'm in the wrong, but oddly enough, hearing you say that, I'm not an a-hole made my day. I've been dodging my entire family since then because they've been bombarding me with messages online. My sister and parents think they did nothing wrong, and I'm the one who's overreacting. My parents are not very happy with me refusing to pay for their stuff as well. They know very well that my sister is not going to pay for anything because she does not have the money to spare. But oh well, I'm not planning on being friendly with them anymore. I hate that they made me feel like that. Update 2. So, I know it's been about 3 days since I last updated you guys. Yesterday, my mother showed up at my place. I did not want to talk to her in the slightest, but she had been waiting outside my apartment for hours before I came. That is what my neighbors told me later. So, thinking it might be best, I decided to open up to her. Turns out, that wasn't the wisest move. As soon as the door shut, my mom unleashed her fury on me. According to her, I was being unreasonable, practically labeling them as villains. She argued that just because I'm married doesn't mean I should act like my spouse is my only family. I have a family, and I should treat my parents and sister as my family too. I told her that whatever she's saying would be applicable if she ever treated me as family, but she never did. I was always treated like I was useless every time I needed them. She did not pull up. So what is the point of her coming to me and now pretending like I mean something to her? I also pointed out to her that even though she could have chosen to be there for me, she chose my sister on the day of my wedding. But my mom was so far up in her head, she did not think that what she was doing was bad in any shape or form. It was pathetic seeing her behave the way she was behaving. It was sad. She did not think whatever she did was at all offensive or can be considered offensive by anyone. Instead, she insisted that I was the one who overreacted, and I hated that. I told her to get out and never get back in touch with me again, unless she's ready to accept that she has been choosing my sister over me. And things are shifting in how my mom interacts with me now. She called me crazy, and I simply told her she could leave and never bother to reconnect if that's her stance. Update 3. Hi everyone, it's been a bit since I last updated you. I appreciate all the support from those who cheered me on during that conversation. I'm going to cut off my parents. I appreciate that very much. I told you guys in the last update how my conversation with my mother ended up. We have not been talking since then. My father has been reaching out to me, and I have been ignoring him as well. My sister has messaged me on social media asking me to grow up and stop overreacting. But lunch was really important to her, and family members have to sometimes sacrifice things for each other. I told her and my father the same thing I told my mother, and I have been adamant about the whole thing. While I do want to have a healthy relationship with my mother and father, unless they're willing to put in the work, I will not be the one carrying the whole weight on my shoulders. Opie and TJ, honestly, you are my hero because I'm in a situation similar to yours, with a family that is blatant about their favoritism. And honestly, if I could leave, I would do the same thing that you're doing, AJ. They do not deserve to be called mom and dad if they're not willing to be a mom and dad to you. Anyone who thinks otherwise can take a long walk off a short pier. Next story. So my girlfriend, 22, female, and I, 24 male, have been dating for about 4 years. When I first introduced her to my friends, I noticed that she was getting along really well with my cousin Sam, who is 24. They had a similar sense of humor and common interests. Seeing my girlfriend challenge him to a shots competition and get him drunk on tequila was the highlight of our first New Year's together. It made me really happy to see them become friends, since me and Sam are very close as well. Sam started dating Olivia, 24, female a year and a half ago, and they got engaged last December. He called me last week and asked me if I wanted to be the best man at his wedding. Obviously, I said yes. While we were talking, I mentioned how excited my girlfriend was for them and the wedding. He went silent. I asked if something was wrong, and he explained that Olivia and he planned a small wedding for just close family and friends. They decided not to invite partners unless they were married or engaged. I got upset, asking how they could make such a decision without considering our relationship. Then told me that while he wanted my girlfriend there, if they made an exception for us, then other people would expect it as well. So there was nothing he could do. When I told my girlfriend about what happened, she was visibly hurt. So 2 days ago, I texted Olivia and asked her if she and Sam discussed about our situation. She said that she doesn't want a stranger at their wedding and that she doesn't consider her family. Regardless of how serious our relationship is, I snapped and told Olivia that most of Sam's family, therefore mine, see my girlfriend as part of the family more than they see her since she didn't bother to build relationships with relatives other than Sam's parents. Then Olivia got upset and told my cousin everything. He called and insisted I apologize if I wanted to remain the best man. I refused, saying I wouldn't attend without my girlfriend being invited. Sam hasn't talked to me since, and my girlfriend thinks I should apologize to salvage my relationship with my cousin. I stay AA. A wedding invitation is not a summons. They are free to make their choices, but you're also free to decline the invitation. What the heck kind of earth-shattering flood of plus ones are they expecting at an already small wedding? That's the flimsiest excuse I've ever heard. This would be reasonable if you just met. This might even be reasonable if you were a regular guest. However, you've been with your girlfriend for 4 years and you're the best man. Not allowing her to come is specifically callous. They're literally saying it's her or us. And your girlfriend is clearly the winner simply by not picking the fight. They know her. She's not a stranger, but they're choosing to treat her like one. And if they lose her and you by extension, that's the choice they made. It seems the groom felt ashamed and hesitant, indicating he knew it was unjust. This choice likely came from the bride. Feeling envious? Perhaps. Keep your heart open, but not to blame. Sam is the one causing rifts. You exacerbated it by confronting the bride. Let this take its course. You care for Sam, but you can't compete with his determined bride. Opinion to AA. You seem very serious in your relation, and as you mentioned, your family has accepted your girlfriend as part of them. I think the fact your girlfriend got along so great with your cousin is the real issue. Olivia doesn't want her there. You're definitely AA for defending your girlfriend. And to the no unmarried, unengaged couples rule is stupid, and it downplays a lot of perfect, valid couplings, yours included. If the bride doesn't want strangers at her wedding, don't invite someone who might bring a stranger. But it is their wedding, and they can make whatever stupid rules they want. You all within your right to not go, and you're giving proper notice to do so. So no, you aren't the a-hole here. Next story. I met my husband 7 years ago when my son was 4. We found out we were expecting a daughter just 2 months after I started dating my partner, who has a biological child. Our relationship has been fantastic despite moving quickly. However, a recent issue arose. My son is turning 12 soon, and we promised him a phone for his birthday. He's been asking since he was 9 because all his friends have one, and he feels left out. I felt terrible and wanted to cave several times, but didn't because my husband and I already decided together that we would get him one at age 12. Now that his birthday is right around the corner, he's very fixated and excited that he would be able to get a phone. He's fully expecting it, which I already knew would happen because of how many times we told him, when you're 12. Well, I was looking at phones online the other day that had some parental controls and all that happy jazz. And my husband decided in this moment that he doesn't think my son is old enough for a phone and that he should have to wait until he's at least 15. I told him that absolutely was not happening, but entertained his reasoning to figure out the why. He said that basically, he didn't want my kid having access to any form of social media, and he feels that getting him a phone would be forcing him to grow up too fast and be subjected to the media and ignorance. I reiterated that this was the deal we had with my kid and that I wasn't going back on it. Even though I disagreed with his reasoning, I didn't voice my disagreement. I stood firm on our promise. We argued about it for a good 30 minutes, with him insisting my son doesn't even need a phone. But in the end, I made it clear that it wasn't up for discussion. I told him my decision. I'm getting my kid a cell phone. He snapped back with, then it had better be a fricking flip phone because I don't want him on the damn internet. He has not spoken to me since '80. Half my friends are on my side, but the other half says I need to consider what he's saying, and two, sorry to push this another 3 years after making your son wait. 3 years will shatter any trust he has in you both. Better to make rules, use parental software effectively, and teach him responsibility than alienate him like this. And to all the other kids his age are going to have phones on top of this. Many modern-day middle school classrooms send out SMS reminders for homework exams and supplemental classroom information. Your husband needs to get with the times. 1993 was 30 years ago. What's your husband going to tell your kid? When he's 15, wait till you're 18. On top of that, refusing to give your kid any responsibility is a self-fulfilling endeavor that guarantees you have an irresponsible child. It's far better for the kid to get exposure to social media while he's still receptive to your guidance than it is to wait until he's in the I know better stage, where he'll completely ignore your warnings and stumble into trouble, and you can limit access to kid's phone, and he will find a way how to get on social media if he wants to. My 7-year-old, who have problems with reading, found a way how to access the internet outside our home. Best way is to teach them being approachable when kids find something disturbing and not to freak out on them for what they saw. I'm 27 male and my sister Emily, female, 24, has always been a massive attention hog. I know that's a really toxic thing to say, but that's literally been the case ever since I became a teenager. We were really close during our childhood, but as we got older, Emily basically decided that it was going to be a competition between me and her to vie for my parents' affection. Sometimes, I feel like my sister went out of her way on purpose to make things hard for our parents. For instance, if I had a game on Saturday, she'd plan a party for the same day, making it tough for our folks to manage. But it wasn't like our parents always chose her plans over mine. Most of the time, they'd stand up to Emily whenever she pulled off something like that. It must have been tough seeing how my sister always seemed to win our parents' approval, something I couldn't seem to achieve. It might sound bad, but it felt like Emily studied our parents, trying to be the perfect daughter. She'd take the classes they wanted, befriend the people they liked, and never disagree with them. It seemed like she'd do anything to fit their idea of the perfect child. I wasn't like that, and I ended up becoming my own person. Of course, I never disobeyed my parents in the sense like I ran around doing drugs and getting girls pregnant, but sometimes I would do things that I was interested in and not my dad. For example, due to how closely Emily tried to replicate the template our parents had set for her. She did become the favorite in their eyes, even if it's only implicit. So even though Emily couldn't take all the attention in those days, she was basically one step away from it. And I mean, the worst part was that she only did this stuff with mom or dad in a very clinical way, as if there was a code in her head that went, if I go golfing with dad, he'll like me. She used to boast about it, saying things like, you've got no idea how to impress mom and dad like I do. That's not really my thing. I mean, come on. As we grew older, our bond got more strained. By the time I was 24, we barely talked. Then she took a job overseas, and that's when our communication dropped even further. I was genuinely quite thankful. During the pandemic, Emily also ended up getting married, and we unfortunately could not visit her. This made my parents feel obviously distraught, and I completely get where they were coming from. I was planning on proposing to my lovely partner Alice at the same time, but I decided against it since I didn't want to take attention away from Emily's wedding. We participated online as best we could, and after things had quieted down, I announced my engagement, and the wedding was set for 2023. Emily was invited as well, and it was the first time she'd be in the US. After a long time, she decided to make the most of it and ended up coming to stay with our parents, with her husband for 6 months or so, choosing to work remotely during this time. When she came back, she shared the news that she was in the first 3 months of her pregnancy. It was a big deal for our family, and I was genuinely happy for her. But things took a turn when she started to act like she used to. She got super into planning her baby shower way ahead of time, with the same level of excitement she had shown for planning my wedding. I couldn't get any input from mom and dad about things relating to my wedding because they were too busy spending time with Emily, and she even gloated about it passive aggressively. Then the real mess up happened. She set the date of her baby shower on the same day as my wedding. As soon as I found out, I blew a fuse. We had a family meeting and I told my parents how unfair this was. but literally the only person who was kind of on my side was Emily's husband of all people. He couldn't say much since my sister was glaring at him all the time. But he thought that since I had announced the date first, it wasn't fair for him and Emily to take over afterwards. Then Emily came in with a whole speech about how she was in the country after so long. It's absurd how she guilt-tripped us about missing her wedding and not visiting. Seriously, we couldn't have gone even if we wanted to. It was a legal no-go. I turned to our parents and asked, "Seriously? What's fair about this? Do you really think it's fair to expect the impossible from us?" My dad responded with OP. "The thing is, Emily makes a lot of good points. Who knows when she'll be back here again? And that's the only date which works for her. We miss our daughter, and wow, you're here in the States. Can't you reschedule? Or can we come later?" "I don't know, kiddo. I'm with Emily on this one." After that point, I basically gave up on arguing. I left with an ultimatum. If my parents weren't at my wedding, they were no longer my parents. I came home and told Alice about it, and she was understandably furious about how I was treated. She also agreed that we couldn't exactly shift the date of our wedding because we'd already made down payment, and the venue was booked every other day. I sighed and decided I'd go ahead without my parents there, and that's what we did. Everyone was outraged at my parents for that choice, and the other family members who were invited were disgusted with Mom, Dad, and Emily. I wasn't too shy about telling people about my ultimatum, too, and I guess word got through to Mom and Dad. Maybe they thought I was joking before, but I was dead serious about my boundaries. Despite that, they showed up at Alice and my flat, congratulating us on our marriage. This happened 2 days after we got married. I mentioned casually that I was preparing for our honeymoon, and reiterated that I wasn't interested in talking to them, just as I had told them before. They were no longer my parents. My mom burst into tears and said that I was being too harsh, and my dad also tried to apologize. But I was having none of it. Alice witnessed all of this, and I guess our emotional outburst had an effect on her. She thinks that after we come back from our 2-week honeymoon, I should at least try and speak to them. Meanwhile, Emily hasn't reached out to me, and from what I remember, her flight is in a few days after, if I don't want to have a relationship with my parents over this. Update 1. So while I was on my honeymoon, I got a text from Emily where she blamed me for ruining Mom and Dad's lives. I couldn't believe the audacity, and told her that it was on her for trying her stupid attention-grabbing tactics again. I mean, it would have been tough, but she could have had the baby shower on literally any other day. Instead, she chose to manipulate our parents and basically convince them to not attend, one of the most important days of my life. I called out a lot of terrible things, mostly narcissist, with her head up her ass and blocked her. It's my honeymoon, and the whole experience is going to be soured by this if I keep accepting contact with these folks. I think I'll just keep my phone far, far away from me so I can be with my wife, and then when I get back home, I'll sort things out. That also means no updates here, guys, so just bear with me. Update 2 just got back yesterday. My extended family has blown up my Facebook with texts. My parents, apparently Susan and Michael, are losing their minds, and a lot of the older members of the family are saying I should at least be low contact with them in order to keep their spirits up. I don't know if I want to, honestly. I feel like I need my sister Emily to apologize to me at the very least, but she's left the country again, leaving me behind to take the flak. Of course, a lot of people think she's in the wrong, but they also think, since I'm the one who's here, the responsibility falls to me to fix things with my parents. But at the end of the day, it'll entirely be my decision. Nathan believed I should consider talking to my parents post-honeymoon, but as I explained more about my dynamics with Jenny, he understood the complexity and decided not to push me. I appreciate his understanding given the circumstances. I've also taken some time to calm down. I might consider reconnecting with my parents, but I'm firm about not tolerating the favoritism they show my sister anymore. I'll try and initiate contact with them, but I think it's only fair if I tell them I need to hear that they were in the wrong for missing my wedding. So I call Susan and Michael and told them about my feelings. And surprise, surprise, they still are hesitant around the idea of saying they were in the wrong. I think that proved a lot more than I expected, and I don't have any guilt about cutting them off now. I can't believe I thought they would be able to give me a proper apology. On the flip side, Jenny called and told me that she had realized that she was in the wrong. Apparently, her husband got to know about the family's situation and ended up blowing up at her for causing a rift in the family. I guess he was willing to stick up for his perspective more than I thought. I told her that I've accepted her apology, but that doesn't mean I'm going to initiate contact with my parents. I guess the phone call was still a little raw, and to be honest, I am sick and tired of being the second choice for them. I feel like they only took towards me when Jenny isn't around, and that's not a good way to parent. I'm okay with being no contact, at least until I can see a visible change in my parents, AJ. And I feel like there's more toxicity from your parents and Jenny because they are the ones who are enabling this behavior. It seems like they should have put an end to this situation much earlier. In my opinion, AJ, getting a genuine, straightforward apology from any of these three might not happen. After reading the last update, it seems she only apologized because her husband confronted her. You truly deserve better than this toxic family dynamic, AJ. Next story. I, 27 male, went to school for computer science and work in tech where I make good money. In 2021, I decided to pursue my passion for writing and enrolled in an MFA program. Because my house is relatively close to campus and I enjoy entertaining, I started hosting a casual get-together for the cohort. It's small, only about 10 people every month or so, and it helped us all become close to friends. The parties are nicer than a dorm party, think wine and cheese, but nothing super fancy. In 2021, a new class of students came in, and I invited them to the parties as well. One young woman, 21-ish female, and I got off on the wrong foot. During our first conversation, I mentioned my trip to Vienna last summer, and she said, "Oh, Vienna." The conversation sort of fizzled out after that. I felt a bit embarrassed because I worried that I might have sounded like I was showing off, even though that wasn't my intention. Since then, it's been clear that she doesn't really like me, especially because of my financial situation. She's always making snide remarks about how exploitative capitalism and rich people and landlords are. She knows I rent a room to another student as a bit. She once pretended to be Somalia, and then sarcastically appraised the wines I had on the table. I understand that not all of her resentment is directed at me specifically, but it still feels very uncomfortable. She came to the MFA straight from undergrad and leads a starving artist lifestyle, and I am sympathetic to that. But several of the other students share similar circumstances and political views, and I have never felt the same way around them. For the past few parties, I've hoped she would just not come, but she has attended every gathering. I have become a lot more self-conscious about what I wear, what food and drink I serve, and what I say in conversation, and it's honestly just exhausting and not fun to host when she's around. It's become apparent that I don't want to invite her anymore. The challenge is, these parties have become a kind of tradition for the students in the program over the last couple of years. It feels odd to exclude just one person from the group. I do understand it's my place and my party, so technically I can decide who to invite. But it's a tricky situation given the history of these gatherings. But I also realize I'm coming from a place of privilege. So I wanted a gut check. I'm sure she will just take it as confirmation that I'm the rich a-hole that she already thinks I am. But does Reddit agree? AJ, so this Debbie Downer is showing up to your house, eating your food and drinking your wine and still has the audacity to continue bad-mouthing the host? No, you would be doing yourself a disservice if you didn't tell her she's not invited anymore. Now, doing it in a tactful manner is another thing. I recommend discussing her rude comments about you with a couple of your mutual friends. I'm sure they're made quite uncomfortable listening to her vitriol. You can then get the best tailor-made advice on how to remove her from your social circle. Teamwork has always been helpful. Your headline is misleading. She is a rude guest, and for that reason, if you uninvited her, you would be into your parties. A private and held in your home. They are not official school events. She has no automatic right to attend and then abuse her host. But you should call her out publicly first so that your reasons are very clear and she can't turn this situation around on you. And basically, this woman seems to have a huge axe to grind with people who have money and she likes to take it out on you. In her mind, there's literally nothing you could say or do to change her perception of you. You're a rich a-hole, even if you're as kind as Jesus or Gandhi, as intelligent as Einstein, and as wise as Solomon. You know what? Just don't invite her. Let her say whatever she wants. You can always tell anyone who asks why you made that decision. When she comes and behaves super rudely to the host, it's just bad manners. It doesn't matter what she thinks or how much money she has. Anyway, here's another story. My mom has a daughter named Olivia. She's 27 years old and her dad's name is Brian. He left her while she was pregnant but stayed in Olivia's life. When my mom met my dad 4 years later, Brian started causing trouble and turned Olivia against my dad and later against me and my younger sister. Olivia was not kind to us over the years. Mom and Brian were in and out of court fighting over what he was doing. Mom had Olivia in therapy to get her behavior to improve, but nothing helped. My mom's side of the family all struggled with having Olivia around. She was always going out of her way to shit on my dad or to be mean to my little sister and me. A few times, she called us names in front of our cousins that my aunts and uncles hated them hearing. FUCK, Phase 3, Todd, etc. And we're worried they would mimic especially the little ones. One time at one cousin's birthday party, Dad was in charge of taking photos and she started yelling out that he stank, that he was ugly, weak, pathetic, etc. Mom would always step in and pull her away, and honestly, it only ever bothered Olivia when Mom was visibly mad. Sometimes Mom would try to compose herself and just be cool and collected with her. But Olivia wanted Mom to not be mad at her, and she wanted them to be close. She just didn't want the rest of us. It was a relief when Olivia decided to stay with Brian. I remember a few things about him from the time Olivia was still coming around. Mom and Brian had 5,050 custody. He was always such an a-hole. Mom's family kept trying to include Olivia and be there for her, but last weekend, they hosted a family reunion to get together with the relatives we hadn't seen in forever, or some of us hadn't even met, and Olivia wasn't invited. My grandparents said they'd had enough, and my aunts and uncles agreed. After the party, Mom asked them if it was really so much better without Olivia around, and they said yes. Mom then noticed that I had been much happier at the party and even showed up early to help out. And we talked, and I admitted to her that I was glad Olivia hadn't been there. I told her it was the first party I could remember where she didn't make it awful. Mom was so upset. Like she actually started to cry, and she admitted that she knew it wasn't easy for the rest of us and she was sorry. And she just wanted everyone to get along, or at least for Olivia to have grown out of the shit Brian had told her. We hugged it out and everything, but then Mom called a few days ago and told me she needed me to keep faults like that to myself. It seemed like a tough moment. When I mentioned how Olivia's behavior was affecting everyone, it clearly upset Mom. She felt hurt that I brought it up, even though I was trying to help. I said I'd avoid discussing it again, but Mom got angry and asked me not to express relief about Olivia not being around. It's tricky when discussing family issues. Emotions run high. Now I feel really bad. AJ, while it's true that Olivia is her daughter, what you said doesn't sound bad, is especially after your mom noticed on her own how much happier you were without her there. But family is not a good reason to subject people to someone like Olivia. And it's good if your mom realizes it's better for her to spend time with Olivia one-on-one. And to your mother, ask people whether it was easier not to have her eldest around and got honest answers. I wonder if she had the same chat with her grandparents. I think your half-sister has never given up on her dream of her parents back together, and you and your family are huge barriers to that. So she tries to push them away and get all her mom's attention. Therapy would help, but your mom is an asshole for noting your distress, and now relief asking about it, and now being dismissive of it, and asking you to mask up. This is the same as being a bigger person. She can't control Olivia's behavior, but she can live in denial of how it is hurting people as long as she controls their ability to talk to her about it. Your feelings are valid. Next story. I live in a small 2-story apartment complex, 2 buildings with about 20 units each. Each building shares a parking lot. My 4-year-old son has special needs and is at a special needs preschool that sends a bus to pick him up and drop him off every weekend at 7:15 a.m. and 3:15 p.m. How it works is basically that the driver pulls up to the side of the parking lot closest to my unit. I'm on the first floor. The driver honks the horn a few times and I run outside with my son out of our sliding back door and get him on the bus in the afternoon. Same deal. I wait till I hear the honk and I run outside and get him off the bus. Once or twice, the driver has had to honk a second time because we weren't ready at exactly 7:15. Also want to note, we live in the Midwest and it's freezing cold most mornings, so it's not an option to wait outside. We've gotten 2 notes on our front door complaining about the honking. And then today, a neighbor said that's been your fault this whole time. I've been wondering who's behind the honking. I don't see anything wrong with this system. My son is autistic and needs this special bus, and we're not breaking any noise violations. I don't see what is unreasonable about this system we have set up, but we've had multiple complaints. My wife thinks we should stop the driver from honking, and I have no intention of doing this. Our son is disabled, and we are perfectly within our rights to get him to school as we see fit. A few honks twice a day isn't going to hurt anyone. She's embarrassed about the complaints and thinks we should do something differently, however, so I want to hear other points of view. So, I too. Of course, why to? It's 100% your responsibility. Be outside waiting for the bus. The honking is not the driver alerting you. It's the driver. Annoyed that literally every other parent is competent enough to have their kid ready and waiting for the bus. Just because you're lazy doesn't mean the rest of the apartment complex should suffer a harsh, disturbing noise first thing in the morning, just posing a question. Your son is special needs, but the bus comes at literally the same time every day and drops him off at the same time every day. This doesn't have to do with accommodations to your son's needs. This has to do with your own scheduling. OP, you're on the first floor. Wait by the door. Peek out a window for when the bus is pulling up. Morning and afternoon. Problem solved. While you say it's not legally a noise violation, having that bus honk while most people are waking up and again in the afternoon is annoying. Why to? And stop playing the "my son is disabled" cod. The honking has nothing to do with him having autism and everything to do with your inability laziness to look out the window at 7:15 each morning. Am I the a-hole for canceling our wedding? We have been engaged for 3 years. My fiance went on a trip of a lifetime for 6 weeks in Europe. She decided that we would take a break in a relationship, allowing me no input in that decision. I called her the day that she left and had me blocked, so I canceled her marriage and her moving in with me in March. She called me today to inform me of her arrival time on Thursday morning, to which I answered, "What does that have to do with me?" and have since blocked her. Edit, I should explain better. I was fine with her trip with her old college sisters. In fact, I dropped at the airport and took her to the boarding. That is when she dropped the whole break thing on me. Didn't explain it, just told me. Matter of fact. And left. I called her the rest of the day and tried to call her when I was able to the rest of the week. After 5 days of ignoring me, I had enough of that and the wedding was off. She can move in with someone else because it's not going to be me. Now for the updates. Update 1. We have a group chat among people close to us today. I informed them all that our marriage is canceled and our relationship is over. Did that about 10 a.m. The chat quite literally exploded, starting with questions about what happened, to which I answered honestly. About 2 p.m., she started just asking me to call her so that we could discuss this. I told her that talking on chat is perfectly fine. She said, "No, this is something just between us." Still have not spoken with her. Last message from her at 6 p.m. "Please pick me up at the airport so we can talk this out as we planned." I answered her. "That was your plan, not mine. None of this was my plan. Her flight is at 9 a.m. I wish her luck." Now for some additional update comments. "Yes," she said, for the duration of the trip, we were taking a break from our relationship, got angry, and asked her what the hell does that mean. She said that we would talk about it when she got back. She waited till she was boarding to tell me about the break part. I was okay with the trip until then. She was going with 5 girls from college. That is absolutely wild that she did that. Has she done stuff like this before? No. This was a first. I felt very ambushed, her telling me about the break and she was about to board for her flight out. Not wrong. Please follow up. Unless she is blocked. What is her reaction? I guess if it were me and my partner wanted to take a 6 week break like that, I would dump them too. And if I was asked why, I would say that they had blocked me from their life for 6 weeks, and I decided that I was okay with that and much more. But what about your family and friends? Is anyone trying to defend her? Yes, it seems she has called a few friends. Inner circle of friends. They started blowing up my phone last night asking what is going on. Does OP's family know? Told my parents immediately. They were shocked. Our friends. I waited. I shouldn't have. But I was embarrassed and depressed. Spent most of the last few weeks feeling sorry for myself in pain shopping. I sent out a message to our group chat informing them that our wedding and relationship were off, and my phone has been blowing up ever since. You're not wrong, but you were not engaged. It does take 3 years. Do you have a date set? August 10th. We have been saving to buy a house P on the X and her social media presence. Those 6 weeks was blocked everywhere that I could think of. And this is from a woman who posts pics of her breakfast. So she posted no pics of a huge 6 week vacation. It's a straight up cover up. On getting the ring back was my grandmother's. So I want it back and have a plan. Going to make it a term of her getting a face to face talk like she wants. And yes, it's going to be in a public place. Thinking of a coffee shop. First off, I got my ring back and it's safe with my mom. Secondly, I would like to thank everyone for keeping me grounded while I was doubting myself. I'm not sure who said it, but someone said that I shouldn't bother with what she did on her trip and focus on her breaking up with me at the airport, which I did, and was not what she was prepared to argue about. So now she knows how it feels to be blindsided. Also, seems her college sisters told her I would be insecure and fight about something I couldn't hope to prove. So when I didn't, she didn't know what to do. At one point, she excused herself to go to the restroom and didn't come back for 20 minutes. Seems the brain trust was at a loss too. So do you have any vacation ideas? Now for some comments. Did she attempt to explain or justify her springing a breakup on you as she boards the plane or blocking you on everything? She even tried to change the subject to what happened on the trip, instead of what happened between us at the airport. That is what she was prepared for. How far did you let her get? I admit I'm a little interested in the story that they came up with. I told her what she did after she broke up with me. Wasn't any of my business, so I could care less. Have her parents reached out? Spoke with her parents last night, woke me up. They must have forgotten about the time difference between coasts. They offered to pay for couples therapy to help us work through this rough patch. As her mother called it, told them, no thank you. She ended our relationship. To her parents, know the truth. She told them a watered-down version where I'm overreacting. I told them exactly what happened. She made it out that while on vacation, she would be unavailable to communicate with where I told them exactly what was said. Has OP checked her social media since? I know. Checked to see if I was still blocked in her socials. And amazing. Yesterday she posted 30 pictures from her trip and had a full recap of what they did and saw the pictures are of places in France, Italy, and Spain. Most are group shots with all 6 of them like tourist-style ones, and others are churches and museums and a few shops. All are during the day, like a tour or something. Who were friends on the trip? They were her college sorority sisters that chat on Facebook Messenger, but few and far between. I've only met 2 of them a few times, and they were nice enough to me to X on reaching out since. It's funny how a woman can do creepy stalker shit, and it's fine that a guy does the same thing and he's straight going to jail. Baffling to me. She is leaving letters for me with people she knows I will interact with, like the security guy at my building with my receptionist at work. The letters themselves are little more than pleading with me to not throw us away for nothing and professing her love for me. OP heads to Scotland for a vacation. I'm leaving Monday and my old college roommate lives in Edinburgh, so I'm going to do some pub crawling with him and see if Scottish food is really a dare. I would like to thank everyone for helping me stand back up. I was depressed and feeling quite worthless. I leave tomorrow for my first trip across the pond. I think they say I'm going to nerd out with my buddy and explore Edinburgh with in the pics I look at. Seems amazing. I will try to keep my Reddit family updated as much as I can. Once again, thank you all so much. So craziest thing. My cell phone works just fine in Europe. Who knew if the ex was trying calling sounds? Did she call you again? She is black but keeps asking in group chats for me to please call her. I get that she understands that she destroyed the relationship. She is starting to take a beating in our group chat. Seems the shock has worn off and her friends are realizing how effed up what she did really was exactly what she deserved. She keeps apologizing, but not what she's apologizing for. She can't even defend herself without making it worse. Which would be funny if it wasn't me on the receiving end of this crap. If she doesn't drop out of the group chat, our friends are really starting to give her shit about it. She keeps saying she is sorry, and that as soon as I am ready to talk and work through this, she will be waiting. She confirmed that she ghosted me since she apologized for it on our group chat last night. She's spinning that she was getting nervous about the wedding and wanted some time off to think. Story 2. My wife told me I'm replaceable. Original post. I 30 male have been married to my wife 29 female for 2 years, and we've known each other for 6. A few weeks ago we had an argument, and during our disagreement she told me that I am replaceable. After our argument, she went out with her friends, and I have been dealing with some health issues for a while, and the argument stressed me out, leaving me nervous and unwell. I was alone in the house and decided to call the paramedics because I felt something was really off. To sum it up, I suffered a heart attack in the hospital. They tried to reach my wife, but she didn't respond, likely still upset from our argument. She called later after coming home when she found out that I was not there. After learning of my condition, she came to see me and stayed with me the entire time, constantly crying and holding my hands. After being sent home, she did everything so that I could recover faster. However, despite her efforts, I couldn't stop thinking about how what she had told me that I am replaceable. I constantly think about it. I want to confront her about it, but I don't think I'm ready. I'm trying to understand why context matters. In what way or situation is it acceptable to call your partner replaceable? The audacity to even say something like that is beyond me. I will answer some things here. We have no children. I have genetic health problems. External factors also contributed to my problems. I have higher salary than her, so I mostly pay the bills or buy things for our home. I mostly cook and clean. She does it, but mostly me. It's not 5,050, more like 6,040. She isn't actively trying to kill me. I hope so, at least. I don't know if she has a F-buddy. Let's also address the elephant in the room. We had an argument about our house, some issues with it. After that, we also discussed her priorities, careers, and intimacy. At one point, discussion was replaced by her venting and saying things not even related to our original discussion. I had no issues with her ranting about things until she told me that I'm replaceable. That was the end of the conversation. I no longer wanted to talk. She finds my silence terrifying, but she didn't stay in the house for long after the argument. I don't know. When she came home, I woke up in the hospital and she was there. She kept crying and holding my hands. She didn't speak much, but she couldn't on the side know some people in this comment section have some issues themselves. Like some of the comments are just wild and horrifying. Update: I've decided to separate for a month. We will go to a counselor and speak maybe 1 to 2 times a week. If she cares about me, she will accept it and do everything she can to improve our relationship and marriage. If she starts playing around going out on dates, or if I suspect her of cheating, I will end it. There won't be any forgiveness or second chances. I will make an update post sometime in the future. So many of you reached out and offered support and advice. I think the least I can do is provide you with the update. Thank you, all very much. Now for the update. As promised, here's an update on my situation. I won't go into much detail, but just the most important things. Physically, I'm doing great. I started working out again, although at a slower pace than before. With time, it will get better. Separation really helped me out a lot. Firstly, I might sound selfish, but I'm only worried about myself, so I did everything for myself. At first, it was a different feeling. Who felt alone for the first time in a really long time, and I needed a few days to get used to it. After I got used to it, it was actually quite nice. I got to do whatever I wanted whenever I wanted. I bought myself a lot of things, redecorated it a bit, changed some old things, and honestly, I liked it. There was no stress, no arguments, no problems. It was peaceful and quiet. I also got myself a cat, and the two of us get along really well. I spoke to my wife on a weekly basis. We also went to a counselor, which really changed a lot of things. Whenever we went there, I laid all the cards on the table. I was really honest, maybe too honest, and I said a lot of things that had accumulated over time. Every annoyance issue, pretty much everything I thought could be way better. My wife said the separation really hard. It was really bad for the first few days. She was fine where she pretended to be. But as time progressed, it was clear she wasn't doing well. What I did was whenever we went to a counselor, I focused only on trying to figure out my marriage and issues with it. But as soon as I left the counselor, I checked out like a switch. I didn't want to bring any of it home and disturb my peace. My wife also started individual therapy on her own mental health and issues that have been present for some time. I asked her if she cheated on me, and honestly, I expected some outbursts of rage or yelling, but there wasn't any of it. She was really sweet and told me no and that she understands why I might think that, and she offered her phone and her social media accounts for me to check. For some reason, I decided to be a dick, and I told her that maybe she deleted and covered her tracks. She has no proof of anything. Again, no yelling or anything, just a really sad look in her eyes. I realized that I went too far and I apologized. Time passed and I decided to let it go, so I told her that I forgive her and that I will give her another chance. Honestly, I wanted some form of revenge, but while revenge might be sweet, everything after is bitter. I also told her that I won't forget her words. Anyway, she came back to my house and everything changed. No longer am I doing most of the stuff. She now works just as hard, maybe even more than me, and she doesn't allow me to do certain things, much to my annoyance. We will continue to go to a counselor for a little bit longer, and she is still going to her individual therapy. While I like being alone, I truly missed her. I missed her hair, her smile, her eyes. And now I find myself looking at her and paying attention to everything she does. I guess separation made us appreciate each other way more than before. Maybe we took each other for granted, and we didn't value each other until we split. I think we fell in love again. I can't describe it, but each hug, each touch feels different, like it radiates with sincerity and love. As for the future, I'm planning a trip in secret as a surprise so we can go out of town for a few days. Just the two of us. Time alone really helped me relax and not worry about unimportant things. I focused on myself and what I want my marriage to be in my life. So now I'm going to work towards that. We really learned to communicate much better than before. We became much more open towards each other, more vulnerable. I think it will help us going forward. I guess after all, it turns out that I'm not so easily replaceable. Story 3. My brother-in-law just told my wife he's in love with her. Anyway, yesterday my brother-in-law out of the blue asks my wife if she can meet him for lunch. There is something he needs to talk to her about. My wife tells me about it before accepting, and asks if it might have something to do with my sister. Maybe they are having problems, and he wants to discuss with another woman. I find it odd, but I tell her to go find out. So she accepts and they meet for lunch at a place near her office the next day. That's where he tells her that he is in love with her. He lays it on thick, how beautiful she is, how she makes him feel, how he would treat her if she were his, how it was love at first sight, blah, blah, blah. Mind you, this man is married to my sister and has 2 kids. He and my wife had a friendly relationship. Our families see each other often as we are a close family. He does text her frequently, but there was nothing overly sexual. My brother-in-law texts and calls my mom too. So none of us thought anything of it. I want to stop a moment and emphasize that my wife isn't cheating on me with him. My wife and I share an iPad, and I see every one of her texts from there. We're also looking at each other's phones all the time, so none of that is going on. So she doesn't let him finish, walks out and calls me immediately to tell me what happened. While she is on the phone with me, the texts from him start. He didn't mean it. He thinks it's only infatuation, blah, blah, blah. She leaves work early to come home to talk to me about this, and her phone is blowing up the entire time with calls and texts from him. I tell her to answer, and she put him on speaker so I can hear. He's crying, begging not to tell my sister. Apparently, when we were together this past weekend, he thought that she was flirting with him and that he thought they had a moment when they were alone in our kitchen. Now, my wife is a major ballbuster, and I suppose I can see how that can be taken as flirting. He asks if she told me, to which I answer yes as I am on speaker. Then he starts begging me. This went on a while. My main question was whether he had cheated on my sister before. He said no, swore on his kids' lives. It's just my wife, he said I should understand. So I'm done listening at that point, and told him I wasn't going to do anything tonight, and I would call him tomorrow. That's where we are right now, and I really don't know what to do. My wife says drive over there right now and tell my sister, but the idea of wrecking my sister's family is killing me. Thinking about what it will do to my nieces makes me want to vomit. I know the right thing to do is tell my sister, but I am also thinking about my wife as well. It's not her fault, but there is sure to be resentment toward her from my family. Even if my sister doesn't divorce him and they reconcile, I can't see how we are ever together again like we were before, if at all. This whole episode can tear my family apart. I don't give a shit about him. He tried to destroy my family, but I do care about everyone else. I don't know what to do. Any advice will help. Update. So everyone that told me last night that I couldn't wait to tell my sister was right. A little after 12 last night, I get a call from my sister and says that she has to tell me that my wife tried to begin an affair with her husband, so he tried to pin it on her. I told her that's not the case and I will be right over. So I get on the phone, wake my mother and father, tell them what's going on, wake my younger brother, tell him. My mom and dad head to my sister's to sit with their kids, and my brother comes to our house to sit with ours, and my wife and I head over. My sister is out in the front porch with my brother-in-law when we get there. He looks beaten. He knows we have texts and voicemail. I really don't know what he was hoping to accomplish. My wife gives my sister her phone. She sees the texts, listens to the voicemails, and he starts sobbing before she can say anything. My brother-in-law is a firefighter, a big tough guy, so this is a scene. My sister is pretty tough. She tells him to stop it, pack a bag, and go. She can't stand to look at him. There's more begging, but she has no patience for it. So my sister walks off to talk with my wife. I see them hugging, so at least I feel like they are okay. They have actually been friends since college. I met my wife through my sister, so they are tight. The thought of this wrecking her friendship had been weighing on me. This leaves me with my brother-in-law. He's broken, so I feel more sympathy than anger. He says he's sorry. He just couldn't help it. It's not hard to fall in love with my wife, so I get it, but damn, man. He eventually picks himself up and leaves. So we are there all night. My sister starts asking my wife why her husband would think any of this would work out. He had to have some reason to believe that she felt the same way. My sister says they hadn't been having problems. Everything was as it had always been. My wife is crying at this point and says there's nothing you haven't seen. She gives my sister her phone again and they read every text ever sent over the past 2 years. Nothing there. My wife was just herself. She has a playful personality and so does my brother-in-law, so they tease each other. She does the same to my mom and younger brother as well. The only thing she could think of was the moment in the kitchen this past weekend he referenced. They both went for the fridge at the same time, and they playfully jostled for who would get there first. He lets her win, but he reaches around her waist to get a beer slowly, and she did feel the way that he did it was little inappropriate. She says she should have called him on it, but didn't want to make it a big thing. She feels maybe the fact that she didn't give him hope. My sister doesn't blame her, so at least that's good. So then my sister starts going through his MacBook to see what else she doesn't know about. She's angry and frantic at this point. She guesses the password, starts searching, and finds a lot of pictures of my wife on that computer. They went back years and always isolated on just her. We had gone as couples to the Caribbean a few years earlier. My wife wore a bikini. She usually doesn't, but since it was adults only, she did. There were probably 50 of her in that bathing suit. So he's been secretly been snapping these for years. Does this now enter retraining order territory? This has taken a creepy turn. I'll update when I have more. Update 2. I've shared with my wife many of your comments. It makes her feel better that virtually everyone here holds her blameless. It makes her feel better, so thank you. Unfortunately, the mess continues. My sister agreed to talk to her husband last night and let him explain. She puts my wife on FaceTime during this conversation, so there will be no lying. I'm listening in as well off camera. My sister is also recording the whole thing. He admits he's been obsessed with my wife for years. It started the day he met her. My wife and I were dating at the time, but he met my wife before he met me. Like I said, my wife and sister are longtime friends, and my sister wanted to introduce her boyfriend to her friends. He thought it was only physical for a while, but over time he knew it was more. My sister nearly kicks him out right there, but listens a little more, and she eventually asks what made him think that my wife would leave me for him. He answers that there is obviously mutual attraction, and he figured it would begin as an affair, and then things would progress from there. My wife and sister explode at that point, a lot of cussing, a lot of screaming. Phone call is over. My wife hangs up because at this point she is concerned for me. She's shaken and distraught, assures me the attraction was one-sided. I never thought it wasn't. Even if she did find him physically attractive, I know she would never act on it. She's just not the type. Early on in our relationship, she caught me admiring her as she was dressing, asked if I liked what I saw before her face turned cold, and told me never to fuck up or I'd never see it again. She meant it. She's serious about trust. Anyway, I knew my brother-in-law was a little cocky, but my God, I never knew he thought that highly of himself to be able to pull off something like this. I talked to my sister later on, and she is contacting the lawyer Monday to see what steps she can take to limit his exposure to her kids. As far as she's concerned, he is detached from reality. That's all I have for now. I'll update once the dust settles a bit. Final update. This is likely to be my final update as I don't see much more happening after this besides divorce proceedings. Thanks for all the comments. They have helped my wife some with the guilt. Anyway, my brother-in-law returned home yesterday, not because my sister wants him back, but because she can't legally stop him. They are done. I think he realizes that now. The lawyer tells my sister that since my brother-in-law's behavior over the past few days has been documented, there is a good chance she will be granted full custody. He doesn't seem to even want to fight her on that. My sister will be fine. Any love she had for him is gone, and she doesn't seem to broken up about it. The kids don't know what happened yet, but my brother-in-law was never around much anyway when the kids were home. He slept at the fire station many nights and put in a lot of overtime. But it is certain to be hard on them once they know what's going to happen. Many commenters have said that there must be more women, but as far as we can tell, there hasn't been. It's really just the obsession with my wife. She has blocked his phone, but on the same night he returned home, he sends my wife an email from account he just made. It started with an apology, but then took a turn. He said he never got to finish at the restaurant that day. Then he went on for paragraphs and paragraphs about all the things he loves about my wife and the desperation he felt that lead him to do what he did. He mentioned their mutual attraction again and the sexual tension that he always felt was between them, and ended with a rather large section about me. Let's just say I didn't know he had such a low opinion of me. He was quite certain that I was not satisfying my wife properly. Anyway, we sent the email to my sister, and it will go to the lawyer. It might be enough to get him removed from the house. Finally, my wife isn't great, but she is doing better every day. She does blame herself for being too comfortable around my brother-in-law. She is always careful to set boundaries with other men. In case you haven't figured it out already, my wife is pretty stunning and gets a lot of male attention. But with my brother-in-law, she felt safe to be herself since he was family. Surely no lines would be crossed. She and my sister are cool and there doesn't appear to be any resentment, so that makes me happy. We will all be okay, it will just take time. Thanks to all who commented and voiced their support. Man, I gotta tell you, on the day Shelly hit me with the I need a break line, I was like a deer in headlights. There we were, sipping coffee on a lazy Sunday. The sun was shining, birds chirping, a picture perfect day, right? Then bam, she drops this bombshell. She's all very, I need some time to figure stuff out. Going to stay with my folks for a bit. I'm sitting there, coffee halfway to my mouth, frozen, a break. I ask that word break. It's like a sledgehammer to a glass house. I mean, we've had our ups and downs, sure, but this was out of left field. Shelly, she's fiddling with her cup, avoiding my eyes. I just, I need some space, very, to sort out my feelings. Her voice is steady, but I can tell she's not 100% on this. There's this tremble, see a little quiver that says she's as scared as I am. I'm trying to keep cool, but inside I'm a mess. And what about loyalty, huh? You planning on staying true during this break? I'm grappling for something, anything to make sense of it all. Shelley sighs this long, heavy sigh that seems to pull the air out of the room. I don't know, Barry. Maybe I need to explore other things. Other things? That phrase hits me like a punch in the gut. Betrayed. That's what I feel. Here I was thinking we were solid, and she's out there wanting to explore. I'm trying to process this, but it's like my brain's stuck in a loop. Break. Explore. Betrayal. Next thing I know, I'm in my office. Papers spread out in front of me. Legal stuff. Separation papers. My hands shaking as I fill them out. It's like I'm on autopilot. You know, part of me thinks this is just a phase. We laugh about it someday, but the other part, the louder part, is prepping for the worst. Divorce bill population, me. Shelley's watching me from the doorway, her face all crumpled up like she's about to cry. But she doesn't say anything, just turns and walks away. And I'm there hand in hand, signing away the life we built together. Crazy how quick things can change, huh? Looking back, I can't help but wonder if I overreacted. Maybe I should have fought for us, for her. But in that moment, all I could see was the end of the road, the end of us. And man, that was a tough pill to swallow. All right, so let me paint you the picture of what went down after Shelley dropped her. I need a break, Mom. Things spiraled and fast. I mean, one minute we're talking about needing space, and the next, it's like we're in the middle of a hurricane. It was a Tuesday, a couple of days after the big announcement. The tension in the house was so thick, you could cut it with a knife. I'm pacing around, thinking, stewing. Every time I look at Shelley, I'm reminded of the break. And man, it burns. I've got all these emotions bubbling up. Anger, confusion, a bit of fear, you know? It's like a cocktail of feelings and not the good kind. So I'm standing in our bedroom looking at all of Shelley's stuff, her clothes, her books, those little trinkets she loves so much. And something in me just snaps. I start grabbing her things, not even thinking, and before I know it, I piled up half her wardrobe and all those knickknacks she's collected over the years. I haul everything to the spare room, just dumping it all in there. It's chaotic, a mess, but in that moment it feels right, like I'm physically moving her out of my life. I'm sweating out of breath, but there's this weird sense of accomplishment too. Then I see her standing in the doorway, her face a mix of shock and hurt. You should leave, I blurt out. It's harsh, colder than I intended, but it's out there hanging in the air between us. Shelley looks like I've just slapped her. She opens her mouth, but no words come out. She just stares at the pile of her belongings, then at me, and I can see it in her eyes. She's realizing this is serious, way more serious than she thought. For a moment, I regret it. I want to take it all back. Tell her it's just a stupid fight. But I don't. I can't. There's this pride, this hurt that's holding me back. So we just stand there in this silent standoff, the weight of what I've done, pressing down on me that night. Shelley sleeps in the spare room among her scattered belongings. There's this unspoken agreement that we're in separate worlds now. Even under the same roof, the house feels emptier, colder. I toss and turn, can't sleep. It's like every creak, every whisper of the house is reminding me of what's happening in the days that follow. We're like ghosts passing each other without a word. The air is filled with unsaid things, regrets, maybe even a bit of longing. But neither of us breaks the silence. It's like we're stuck in this dance, too stubborn or scared to make the first move. And then one morning, I wake up to find a note on the kitchen counter. It's from Shelley, gone to my parents. It says just those 4 words, but they hit me like a ton of bricks. It's real now. She's really gone that day. The house feels even more hollow. I wander from room to room looking at the spaces she used to fill. Her perfume lingers in the air, a reminder of what's missing. I sit on the couch, the same spot where we've laughed, argued, made up, and I realize how much of us is woven into every corner of this place. I think about calling her that my pride gets in the way she left. Remember, I tell myself? But deep down, I'm wondering if I pushed her too far. If I've broken something that can't be fixed. It's a scary thought, being the architect of your own misery. So there you have it. The escalation, a series of small steps leading to a big fall. It's funny. You know how quickly things can change. One day you're planning your future, and the next you're wondering if you even have one together. That's life, I guess. Unpredictable, messy, and sometimes a little heartbreaking. Once Shelley left and the house got all quiet, it's like my brain switched into overdrive. I had all this time to think, to reflect, and man, did the thoughts come flooding in there. I was in our big empty house, just me and my thoughts, and they were all about Shelley, how she changed, how we changed. You see, a while back, Shelley went on this health kick. She lost a bunch of weight, started dressing differently, kind of morphed into this whole new person. At first, I was proud, proud of her for taking control, getting healthy, but I didn't realize how much those changes would affect us, our relationship. I catch myself looking at old photos back when we were younger, a bit chubbier. But man, we were happy. There was this light in her eyes, a spark. Now it felt like that spark was fading, getting lost in her new lifestyle, her new self. Our conversations changed too. They became more superficial, more about her fitness routine, her diet. I tried to keep up, be supportive, but I felt left behind. Like she was on this express train to a new life, and I was still waiting at the station. Then there were the little things. Her laughter, which used to fill the room, now seemed forced rare. The way she turned away slightly when I tried to hug her. Small things, but they added up. Knowing that me sitting in that silent house, I started to wonder where it all went wrong. Were we ever really happy, or were we just comfortable? Did I miss some signs, some cries for help? You start questioning everything, doubting every memory, every moment. I remember walking through the house room by room, seeing traces of her everywhere. Her books on the shelf, her perfume in the bathroom, her gardening gloves on the porch. It was like she was still there, but not really. It was this constant reminder of what I'd lost, what we'd lost. Nights were the hardest. The bed felt too big to empty. I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying our last conversations, trying to figure out where things took a turn. It's funny how solitude can mess with your mind, make you see things in a different light. Then there were moments of anger, of bitterness. Why did she leave? Why wasn't I enough? But those moments would fade, replaced by this dull ache, this sense of loss. It's like I was mourning not just for our relationship, but for the woman I fell in love with who now seemed like a stranger to me. I started doing things to keep busy, to fill the silence. I'd work late, hit the gym, anything to avoid coming home to an empty house. But no matter how busy I got, there was always that moment when I'd walk through the door and the reality would hit me all over again. It's weird, how you can be surrounded by people, by noise, by life, and still feel so utterly alone. That's what those days were like. A constant battle between wanting to remember and wanting to forget, between holding on and letting go. In those quiet moments, I realized how much I depended on Shelley, not just for love or companionship, but for my identity. Without her, I was like a ship, without a rudder drifting aimlessly. It was a wake-up call, a harsh reminder that I needed to find myself again, find my own happiness. So that's chapter 3, Reflections in Solitude. A time of introspection, of confronting some hard truths, and of slowly, painfully starting to piece together a life without Shelley. It's a journey, man. And let me tell you, it's not an easy one. Before we dive into the next chapter of this roller coaster story, I've got a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying this tale of love, adventure, and unexpected twists, how about showing some love? Hit that like button to let me know you're on board. It's a simple click for you, but it means the world to me. It's like a virtual hi-fi telling me to keep the stories coming. And hey, why stop there? Go ahead and hit subscribe to trust me. You don't want to miss what's coming up next. So take a quick second to like and subscribe. Done. Awesome. So Shelley's over at her folks, right? And she's trying to get used to this whole newly single free as a bird vibe. But let me tell you, it ain't all sunshine and rainbows for her. There she is in her old room surrounded by memories of her teenage years. And it's like she's gone back in time, but not in a good way. It's more like she's stuck in this weird limbo halfway between the past and the present. And those doubts, man, they start creeping in, gnawing at her. She's got all this time to think. Too much time, really. And her mind. It keeps circling back to Malia and Sasha, our kids. She's missing their school plays, their little squabbles. The way Sasha's nose crinkles when she laughs are Malia's endless questions about everything under the sun. It hits her hard, the reality of what she's left behind. And it's not just the kids. It's the life we built together, the routines, the inside jokes, the lazy Sundays in bed. She's out there trying to figure herself out, but she's starting to wonder if she left a part of herself back with us. Then there's the whole thing with her parents. They're trying to be supportive, sure, but there's this unspoken tension. Like they're wondering why she's thrown a perfectly good marriage into the wind. And Shelley, she feels their confusion, their disappointment. So she's sitting there at the dinner table pushing food around her plate, and it's like she's a stranger in her own life. She's questioning everything, her decisions, her desires, her future. It's a mess of what ifs and should haves. Nights are the worst for her. She's lying in her childhood bed staring at the ceiling, and the silence is deafening. She's used to the sound of my snoring, the soft breathing of the kids down the hall. Now all she's got is the ticking of the old clock on the wall, each tick a reminder of the time she's losing the moment, slipping away. She starts doing these long walks, just wandering around her old neighborhood trying to clear her head. But everywhere she looks, there are reminders of the past, of simpler times. It's like she's haunted by the ghost of her former self, the girl who had all these dreams and aspirations before life got complicated. And in those quiet moments when she's all alone with her thoughts, the regret really starts to sink in. What have I done? She asks herself. She's made this big, bold move, sure, but at what cost? She's got freedom. Yeah, but it's a lonely kind of freedom, the kind that feels more like isolation than liberation. So that's chapter 4, Doubts and Regrets. It's all about Shelley grappling with the consequences of her decision, realizing that maybe, just maybe, the grass is always greener on the other side. It's a tough pill to swallow, realizing you might have made a mistake, especially when there's no easy way to fix it. But that's life, right? A series of choices, some good, some not so good, and learning to live with them now. This is where things start getting a bit more, let's say, intense. I'm not the kind of guy to just sit on my hands, with Shelley gone in the house feeling more like a ghost town every day. I figured it was time to make some moves. First things first, the assets. I'm no Scrooge, but I worked hard for what we have. And the thought of losing half of everything to a maybe divorce? Yeah, that didn't sit well with me. So I got myself a lawyer, a real shark, and we started locking things down. Bank accounts, the house investments, you name it, we secured. It might sound harsh, but in times like these, you've got to protect your turf. But that wasn't the hardest part. No, sir. The real kicker was the kids, Malia and Sasha. They're my world. And the thought of them getting caught in the crossfire of a messy split, unthinkable. So I'm pushing for full custody. It's not that I want to cut Shelley out, but I can't have them bouncing back and forth like ping pong balls. They need stability, a routine, and I'm hell-bent on giving it to them. Now, about that work trip, it's been on the cards for a while. A big project overseas, a real career maker. But with everything going on, it felt like the perfect opportunity for a fresh start, a chance to get away from all the drama. So I pull some strings, get the okay to take Malia and Sasha with me, a working holiday sort of. The kids are psyched, new places, new faces. For me, it's a bit more complicated. Sure, it's a chance to bond, make some memories, but it's also me stepping into this new role. Single dad, globetrotter to Mr. Independent. It's exciting, but daunting as hell. Prepping for the trip was a whirlwind. Passports, tickets, packing. It's like a military operation. And the whole time I'm trying to keep things light fun. But inside, I'm a jumble of nerves. This trip, it's not just a getaway. It's a statement. I'm showing Shelley, the kids, the world, that I can handle this. Then I'm not just going to crumble and fade away. The night before we leave, I'm talking the kids into bed. And Sasha, she's got this worried look in her eyes. Will mommy be okay without us? She asks. Man, that hit me right in the feels. I tell her, mommy's going to be just fine, that we're all going to be just fine. But as I'm saying I'm wondering the same thing myself. So we set off the three of us off on this adventure. And as the plane takes off, I'm looking out the window, watching the ground slip away. And it's like I can feel the weight lifting. We're starting over, in a way. A new chapter. A chance to rewrite our story. It's scary. Yeah, but it's also kind of exhilarating. Shelley, she's having this big epiphany over at her parents', realizing maybe she's made a major mistake. So she's thinking she can just waltz back in and patch things up. She calls me up, her voice all shaky, saying she wants to talk. I'm like, okay, let's hear it. So she comes over. She's looking different, more like the Shelley I knew. But there's this nervousness about her. She starts with this big apology saying she's missed me, the kids, the life we had. She's going on about how she's seen the error of her ways, wants to make it right. And I'm just sitting there nodding. But inside, I'm feeling all sorts of twisted. Here's the thing. While she was out finding herself, I wasn't just moping around. I'd started seeing Hillary, my best friend, since forever. Hillary. She'd been there through the thick and thin, and somewhere along the line, things between us change. It wasn't planned. It just happened. So when Shelley's pouring her heart out, I'm thinking of Hillary and how she's been my rock through all this. I let Shelley finish, and then I lay it out for her. I tell her about Hillary, how her thing now. You should have seen her face. It's like I'd hit her with a sledgehammer. She's stammering, asking if I'm serious. And I'm like, yeah, I am. The air in the room got real heavy then. Shelley's looking at me, her eyes welling up, and I'm feeling this mix of guilt and relief. Yeah, relief that I'm finally being honest with her, with myself. Then I hit her with another bombshell, the divorce papers. I'd had them drawn up, ready to go. It wasn't an easy decision, but with everything that had gone down, it felt like the only way forward. Shelley's looking at the papers like they're some sort of alien artifact. She's lost for words, and frankly, so am I. It was one of those pivotal moments, you know? She's realizing that it's really over, that there's no going back. And I'm seeing this chapter of my life closing right in front of me. It was sad, sure, but also kind of freeing. We talk a bit more mostly logistics about the kids and how we're going to handle things moving forward. It's all very civil, but there's this undercurrent of, I don't know, finality. Like we both know this is the end of the road for us. Shelley leaves and the house is quiet again, but it's a different kind of quiet now. It's more like peace, or maybe acceptance. The storm has passed and there's this sense of calm, of moving on. So there we were. Me, Hillary, Malia, and Sasha embarking on this new journey abroad. It felt like stepping into a different world, a fresh start. Everything was new. The sights, the sounds, the smells. We landed in this beautiful, bustling city, full of life and energy. It was exactly what we needed. A total change of scenery. The kids. They adapted faster than I thought. Malia, she's got this adventurous spirit. Always curious, always exploring. And Sasha, she's more reserved but was finding her own way. Making friends at the new school. Watching them, it filled me with this mix of pride and relief. They were okay. More than okay. They were thriving. Hillary, she was incredible through it all. She had this way of making anywhere feel like home. She'd cook up these meals, a blend of our old life and the new, and we'd sit around the table in our new apartment laughing and sharing stories. It felt right, like we were building something special, something real. Work was intense but rewarding. I was putting in long hours, but I was doing something I believed in, something that mattered. And coming home to Hillary and the kids, that was the best part of my day. We'd have these little rituals like game nights or movie evenings, and it was like we were weaving this new tapestry of family life. Then there's the big news. Me and Hillary, we decided to tie the knot. It wasn't a big, fancy affair, just something small and intimate. The kids were ecstatic seeing us take the step officially becoming a family. It was a beautiful day, full of love and laughter, a celebration of new beginnings. Life kept moving. And before we knew it, there was another addition to our family. A little one man holding that baby for the first time. It's a feeling I can't even describe. It was like a piece of the puzzle we didn't even know was missing. Clicked into place. Malia and Sasha, they were over the moon, doting on their new sibling every chance they got. Our new life. It was full of challenges, sure, but also full of joy and growth. We were blending our past with our present, creating something unique, something ours. We'd FaceTime with Shelley, regularly keeping her in the loop, making sure the kids stayed connected. It wasn't always easy, but it was important. The city, with its vibrant culture and diverse community, became our playground. We'd explore on weekends, discovering hidden gems, learning and growing together. It was an adventure every single day. And as I'd watch the sunset from our balcony, the city lights twinkling below, I think about the journey that got us here. It was wild, unpredictable, sometimes painful, but it led us to this place, this moment. And I was grateful for all of it, the good, the bad, the in-between. So there's Shelley back in her hometown, living a life she thought she wanted. But it's not all it's cracked up to be. She's got a lot of time on her hands. And you know what they say about idle minds? Hers is a whirlwind of thoughts, regrets, and what-ifs. She's watching from afar, seeing snippets of our new life on social media, the updates, the photos. And each one is like a little jab, a reminder of what she's missing out on. She sees pictures of Malia's birthday party, Sasha's soccer games, and it hits her hard. She's missing milestones, everyday moments, and it's eating her up inside. She tries to keep busy, throws herself into work, hobbies, anything to fill the void. But the silence of her apartment is deafening. It's in these quiet moments that the weight of her choices really sinks in her friends. They try to be supportive, tell her she did the right thing following her heart and all that. But deep down, she's not so sure. She starts to realize that in chasing after something different, something she thought she wanted, she lost everything that truly mattered. Her family, her home, the love and life she built with us. She's got this box of memories, photos, little keepsakes from our life together. Sometimes she'll pull it out, sift through it. It's a bittersweet ritual, a walk down memory lane. But each step is laced with regret. And then there are the nights, the hardest part. She's lying in bed, the room dark, and her mind won't shut off. She replays everything, the good times, the bad, the mundane. She thinks about the holidays we spent together, the quiet mornings, the lazy Sundays. It's like a movie playing on loop, and she's both the star and the audience. She wonders about the kids, how they're doing. Really doing? Sure. She talks to them, video calls. But it's not the same. She's missing the little things. The way Malia scrunches her nose when she's thinking hard. Sasha's infectious giggle. It's those everyday moments that she craves. The ones you don't realize are important until they're gone. She starts to understand that happiness isn't always about chasing the new or the exciting. Sometimes it's about appreciating what you have, cherishing the mundane, finding joy in the familiar. It's a hard lesson learned. Too late. She's left with her thoughts, her regrets, and the painful understanding that some choices can be undone. There's no reset button in life, no going back to fix the mistakes.